Oh, have you seen the new gingerbread flavoured Pepsi Zero?
No, and I think I'll be even attempting to see that either.
I got some of it. It's fantastic.
Oh, God.
Never mind.
We tried to feed a ball through to... We tried to feed a ball through... We tried to feed a ball... Fucking hell. We tried to feed a ball forward.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone and welcome to the next episode of the I Ready podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek. With me is my co-host Dave. It's been a while, but we're finally back. After some holidays, after some sickness, after some family issues, we are finally back.
Derek, I nearly forgot what you sounded like, to be honest with you. So, it's good to hear from you, and it's good to be back on and talking about the club that we love so much. And there's been loads of other football things happening away from Rangers, but just delighted to be back talking about our team again.
Yeah, I mean, you forgot what I sounded like and I forgot how to turn on the computer, basically. So
There you go, yep.
Yes, so yes, we have got a lot to cover. We are only going to cover the games very briefly. I think we've got about 7 games, so we're not going to go into too depth about that. Which, you know, we're doing well for like a season and a bit with the regularity, but now we're back to this nonsense.
Couldn't be helped, though. Couldn't be helped.
No, not at all. So, without further ado, we will go down the tunnel and onto the park. So Dave, we have been that long, we've even had a new manager. I obviously got a bonus podcast out. You were at work, I discussed it at the time. However, Dave, we've not had your proper thoughts, but new manager Danny Rohl has came into the team. So before we get into Rohl, obviously there was a lot of issues with who we were going to go for. It was played out far too publicly. I don't think all of that can be put at the feet of Rangers. There's always two parties to this. It was meant to be Gerrard. He said it was not the right time. Rohl seemingly ruled himself out. Muscat was next in line. It was not the right time due to he's not finished his league in China. Rohl was then appointed a day later. He was apparently still in contact with the club all that time as well. I mean, listen, I've always said any manager's a risk. Any manager has pros and cons. I actually wanted Gerrard just to galvanise the team because the no-nonsense stature he would bring in. But for me now, he's absolutely done. That's twice now he's turned us down when the reality is his stock is extremely low. He will not get a better offer than that. He's been in the media since and he was talking about it wasn't the right time. You know, if it wasn't the right time, you don't drag yourself all the way from Bahrain or wherever it is, the Middle East, to London for meetings. He's done with me now, Dave. I don't know what your thoughts there are.
Like you, and I think like 99% of the Rangers fans out there, we were so bad, Derek. As bad as I can remember, going back to Pedro, going back to Beale, going back to Paul Le Guen. I honestly think we were so bad and going backwards under Russell Martin that we were looking for someone, like you said, to galvanise us. And as a support, we all said, well, you know, the easy one for that would be Steven Gerrard because he won the league. Everybody idolised him. We were absolutely devastated when he left. And like you, we thought that is going to be the easy fix. It's just puzzling, as you've just said there, as to why he would make the journey all the way from where he is at the moment to London to have talks when he's made out that all along he wasn't going to be coming to us because it wasn't the right time. It's very, very bizarre for me. So again, I'm not going to be one to say he's done with me. He'll always be highly regarded by the Rangers fans because he won the league. But I think we just need to move on now from it. It was just a very bizarre situation.
Yep. Andrew Kavanagh was at pains to shoot down claims that Gerrard and Muscat turned it down due to Stewart and Thelwell. I think that was the obvious thing to kind of surmise. I even surmised it myself after Muscat turned it down. I mean, ultimately, both had worked under directors of footballs and sporting directors previously at us and different clubs. Craig Moore, however, seemingly backed up Muscat's side that it was really just a timing issue, so we'll need to take that one at face value there. The press conference they done was handled very well, I think. I'm not being a happy clapper or anything like that. Sometimes you just need to take things at face value. As I said, they've massively fucked up with the Martin appointment. Absolutely, you can't get away from that. I think they know that now, and it's how they learn from it. So if similar happens again, it's how they react. And if Danny Rohl goes to cock this season, then their arse will be out the window. But we'll get into it shortly. It seems to have started off pretty strongly. Stewart and Thelwell, as for them, the jury's still out. Stewart's done nothing of note since he's came to Rangers other than make an arse of a few things. Thelwell, questions absolutely do remain. If Rohl can turn the players round, then obviously Thelwell will be seen more favourably. Rohl himself, now we'll get into, obviously before the games he'd taken over, people were turning their nose up at him because he's 36 and a poor win ratio at Sheffield Wednesday. Well, it's really all about context. He joined Sheffield Wednesday in the October when they only had 3 or 4 points on the table and they were plumb last. He saved them from relegation, finishing 20th in his first season. He got a couple of Manager of the Month awards, and then he finished 12th in his second season under difficult circumstances, which then ended up playing out this season with them going into administration. So that's why he ended up leaving ultimately. So, you know, he started off his Rangers career promising. It's certainly not been perfect, but there's been some promising moments and you can see things starting to change. We'll get into that in a moment, but I think every manager's a risk and you can't turn your nose up at anyone these days.
No, and you've got to again look at his background as well. Assistant manager at the German national team under Hansi Flick, who's now one of the most highest regarded managers in the world at Barcelona. He was also there at Bayern Munich, as assistant coach at Bayern Munich, massive clubs. He then, in his own right, I think there was lots of teams that they were wanting to take him on. A bit like David Ancelotti in a few ways. He was there as the assistant and some massive clubs done really well. He went to Sheffield Wednesday. The fans held him in such high regard. They thought he was a fantastic coach. The players all bought into his system straight away. And as you say, he taken them for relegation. He got them safe. And then the following season was a complete and utter shit show at Sheffield Wednesday. Players weren't getting paid. He wasn't getting paid. And, you know, if they hadn't went into administration and they were still a bit stable, I've got no doubts that he would still be there as their head coach. So we certainly got told that he was an excellent coach. So you've got to take everything, as you say, on different merits. And all I was looking for, Derek, was just someone that could bring stability to the team and actually give us a game plan and actually shore us up in defence and just get us back to winning ways. And certainly in the league, he's done that. So I'm more than willing to give the guy a chance just because we were so bad under Russell Martin that I think I would have taken just about anyone that had any kind of pedigree, Derek. So, you know, so far as we're about to get into, certainly in the league, so good.
So the first game we've got to cover, Saturday the 18th of October. It was a 2-each draw at home against Dundee United in the Premiership. Now, Stevie Smith was in charge for this game, so really you can't blame anything on Stevie Smith. He shouldn't have been put in that position, but he stepped up. He did show his naivety in the second half, which we'll get into, but again, you can't really take that into account. So the first half, it was not perfect, but a huge improvement. We were controlling the ball more, but more importantly, it was in midfield that was controlling it rather than the defenders doing it. The suicidal high line had been dropped, and the best thing, there was 24 attempted shots. Granted, most were blocked, and those that weren't didn't bother the keeper, but it was a massive improvement from what I had seen all season so far. We scored the first goal in the 24th minute with Asgard scoring. It was an absolute stunner. We drove the ball forward down the left, a lovely drop of the shoulder, and a cut inside to take it past the first defender, cuts into the box, and then does the same again with the second defender and lofts the ball high into the top right corner. That's something that we've been dying to see from Asgard, because we've seen it in video clips, we've seen it for his country that he can do that. finally we'd seen it with us now.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. You know my feelings on Asgard. That goal, for me, is probably one of, if the only positive thing that he's done for us since he's signed. So, tremendous goal, not taking anything away from him, but not seeing anything apart from that, personally.
Yeah. So in the spirits of kind of getting things moved on, really into the second half, Dundee United played better the second half with more intensity. Maurice Ross was on co-coms and he sounded like he was interviewing for the coaching role, but some of the things he said was absolutely correct, and one of the main things is that he said that we needed to lay something on opposition teams because we're so timid, and he was 100% correct there. As I said, changes could have been made a lot quicker because it was quite clear we were getting leggy and we lost 2 goals in the 10 minutes when changes should have made. Dundee United scored in the 66th minute. It was a long ball over the top, down the right. He cut it back. Plenty of time during the roll to the player who picks it up. He has time to take it to the edge of the box and shoots it into the bottom left corner past Butland. Could have dealt with it so much better, and we gave them so much time. 75th minute, Dundee United made it 2-1. Our team were just static. Dundee United have a shot, a huge save from Butland. It was rebounded back out. Still so static. Dundee United fight to win the ball back, pick it up, and a stunning shot into the net. You can't fault their stunning initial shot and the follow-up to score the goal, but it all stemmed from our team being so static.
Yep, really, really poor. And after a very good first half, as you say, completely outdone just because we had just switched off altogether in the second half. It's all it was. No fight and just really poor play all round in the second half.
Yep. And we thought it was all going to end in another defeat, especially at home as well. However, in the 87th minute, Tavernier steps up with a stunning goal to make it 2 each. It was Moore down the right, into the box, cuts it back, a small layoff to Tavernier who was charging in, and a shot into the net from just inside of the box. A great goal.
Excellent goal, but it really shouldn't have got to that, Derek, should it?
No, certainly not. After the game, in the press conference, Butland was absolutely scathing with his teammates, and he said that some players just don't get it. Now, Butland is probably one of the very few players this season that's qualified to say that, because he's been exceptional this season and kept us in games, kept the score lines reasonable as well when we do get defeated. So I think he was justified in saying that. However, it never really done much because it was a disgraceful performance of the next games. Thursday, the 23rd of October, it was a 3-0 loss away against Brann in the Europa League Game 3. It was Danny Rohl's first game in charge of the team as well. I think he only had like half a training session with them, so he can't be blamed at all for it. So I'm just going to quickly go through this here. It was a lack of effort, a lack of control, a lack of composure, a non-existent midfield, no service to the attackers, and a defence so holy it would sink the Titanic. Brann scored their first goal on the 40th minute, funnily enough, but they were all over us up until that point. It was a ball from the middle of the park to the left side, Tavernier out of position and caught high, Suter chasing back, gets into the box, a fluffed cross trundles across goal, and a simple tap in at the back post.
Yeah.
We've seen a goal like that so many times as well. Tavernier and Suter, calamity duo. Into second half, 55th minute, Brann made it 2-0. It was a free kick from the left, driven in mid-height to the near post. The attacker gets in front of the defender, heads it into the right side. So easy. A lack of tracking men as usual. And they made it 3-0 on the 79th minute. It was a quick break forward, slides the ball to the left side. It was a cross in. Suter with an attempted backheel flick in the air goes right to the unmarked player who has a good finish. Woeful defending, again no marking and tracking. I don't know what Suter was playing at there. Granted, a wee bit of fortune there, but he would have been better just leaving the ball. Just so poor. After the game, Thelwell and Stewart were accosted at the airport again. Rohl did step in apparently to try and diffuse the situation. He didn't need to do that as well, but he was trying to build a rapport, and he did actually come over to the fans in the stadium to apologise as well. Again, something he didn't need to do. Tavernier in his post-match seemed quite emotional, and he branded the performance a disgrace. That's all well and good, but he was a big part of that disgrace for a number of weeks and in that game, so it comes a point when words are just hollow now. So, Dave, what did you think of that game?
Just a shambles, Derek, an absolute shambles. I actually felt sorry for Danny Rohl. I really did, because I thought to myself, he stepped in here and thought, how bad can it be? And he said to himself, oh my God, this is a lot worse than what I thought. Basic defending, shocking, basic tracking back, couldn't get the ball forward, powder puff up front, and just just a complete disaster. And like I say, for him to do what he did after the game, I think he knew he had a sort of huge job on his hands after that.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting to see because you look at some of the best managers in the world, they know it's about man management and just the way you act with fans. And you could clearly see, and I don't know if he was watching any videos of the way Russell Martin was acting with the fans. It was just treating us with complete contempt at times. But if that's the way that Danny Rohl likes to deal with fans, then that's good because at least he's got that human level and he's understanding, and then maybe you can see that he'll work that with the players as well. However, into the next game, he actually got to tune out the players because on Sunday the 26th of October, we won 3-1 at home against Kilmarnock in the Premiership, and ridiculous to say that was the first home win of the season as well. It was also the closest day to Remembrance Sunday for our home game, so we had the minute silence and the tifo as well, and poignantly as well, it was 4 years to the day of the sad passing of Walter Smith as well.
Yeah.
So it was a much, much better performance in terms of effort. Granted, that's the bare minimum what we expect. It was baby steps. It wasn't perfect. There was still a lot of issues to work on. But for the first Premiership game of Danny Rohl's reign at Rangers, it was encouraging. The first half was all us without making many chances granted. We scored our first goal on the 15th minute with Cornelius scoring. It was a free kick from Tavernier floated into the middle. Danilo and Cornelius break forward. Danilo leaves it and Cornelius cushions it into the net. A really good goal there. We thought it was all going to go Pete Tong on the 39th minute because Kilmarnock drew level. It was a corner in from Kilmarnock on the left. Butland comes to the near post to punch it, misses it and goes right to the back post to an unmarked man who taps it in. It was a mistake from Butland. There's no getting away with that one there. It was a shocker. However, he has saved us so many times this season, so you can almost forgive him. Like I've said before, I just hope that when he does that mistake, it doesn't happen what happened last season where his confidence goes, but touch wood, it doesn't appear to have went that way anyway.
No.
Into the second half, we restored the 1-goal lead on the 51st minute with Danilo scoring. It was patient play on the left with Diomande, looked to move things quickly a couple of times, but it got slowed down. We slid the ball to Migoma, who put in a lovely cross into the middle, and Danilo with a glancing header off the right post and in. A fantastic goal, Dave, wasn't it?
It really was a tremendous goal, good move as well. And Migoma, I think, from that game has steadily got better, so it's good to see as well. But no, excellent goal.
Yes. 72nd minute, we made it 3-1. And who would have thunk it, Dave? Chermiti scores. We tried to feed the ball forward, however it was blocked. The ball then spun back to us, a pass to Chermiti on the edge of the box at the right side, and then Chermiti hit a thunder bastard, which the keeper got a hand to, but it was far too powerful and goes into the net, and Chermiti gets his Rangers record off the mark. It was a cracking goal, maybe a wee bit of fortune, but maybe that was down to the power as well, but delighted for him.
Yeah, I really was delighted for him. It was some strike from him as well. I don't know if you're going to speak about after his wee celebration, Derek. I don't know if it was a wee dig at the fans. Certainly how it has been seen, because he has been getting a lot of abuse and it hasn't been great for us at all. It's not his fault, the price tag that was paid for him, but maybe him trying to get a wee bit back on the supporters that have been giving him a lot of abuse. I don't know. I didn't think it was necessary. I wish that he'd just went and really enjoyed it with the fans and ran and cheered and all of that. And I think, they would have been a lot more happy with him after that. But certainly a very good goal for him to get his Rangers career finally underway.
Yeah, but sadly that was the last we would have seen him because he had a few howlers afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of the gesture, I mean, a bit silly. He's not the only player to do that this season as well after scoring. You can do that if the opposition fans are giving you a wee bit of stick, but
exactly.
No, when you're playing poor and it's your home fans that are giving you stick, it's not really on. Anyway, it was a good performance and obviously a really good result. Leads us into the next game, which you're going to cover, Dave, which is Wednesday the 29th of October, a 1-0 away win against Hibs in the Premiership. So a difficult place to go at the best of times. Hibs were on a good run of form. Glad to get out there with the 3 points.
Actually, a fantastic result, because I think Hibs' record was it something like 9 or 10 months undefeated at Easter Road. Yeah. So we were wearing yet another new kit that's been brought out, the all-new orange strip. I don't know what you think of that one, Derek, but we were debuting it on that night. I think at this stage, Derek, we knew it was going to be difficult. And after the game against Brann, we thought, disaster. The Kilmarnock game, we managed to get back and win 3-1. It wasn't perfect, as you say, but a good victory. We were just looking to build, weren't we? We were looking to see signs of progression each game. We certainly got it in this one. The only goal of the game for Rangers came very early on, and it was Hibs with the ball in defence. They can't seem to get it clear. It's charged down, falls for Tremiti. He squares the ball to Danilo on the edge of the box, and Danilo hits a fantastic low shot past Salinger and goals for Hibs to make it 1-0 to Rangers. Real sort of striker's instinct. You knew that what we wanted to do was get a shot and goal, and an excellent goal to fire it into the bottom corner and give us a great start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a fantastic goal, and you've seen it from the start. We were playing a high pressing game. We were starting off with pace as well, and that's all we've really asked for. Start the game with pace, and this is the kind of thing that'll happen. But it was good, especially good ball to Chermiti as well.
Yeah, it was, and from there for like the next sort of 20 minutes, I thought Rangers were excellent. As you say, the pressing play was fantastic. Hibs changed it because they knew they weren't getting a lot of ball. They started to come back in, but it got to half-time, 1-0, and as like I've said there, the first 25 minutes, probably the best that we'd played in a long time. Getting into the second half, it got back to being pretty messy. We were still getting a lot of the ball. Hibs were getting back into it without really doing anything, and we thought it was maybe going to go out. We would maybe hold on for a good 1-0, but then on the 85th minute, Hibs were awarded a penalty, and it was our own doing again, and I don't quite know what Connor Barron was doing, but the ball was played to James Tavernier almost at the edge of his own box, but he slips and the Hibs player picks up the ball. Now, he still had a defender in front of him, so he wasn't going to shoot, but he runs into the box and Barron goes in with him, tries to slide in and win the ball, but ends up clipping his leg, and the ref points to the spot. Is it inexperienced, Derek? I don't know. I don't feel that they needed to do it. He just needed to stay with him. I realise it was from Tav's mistake with him slipping, but I don't think he was going to score there, but just a bit clumsy, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, it was a bit you can blame Barron for the tackle because he didn't really need to do it. Tavernier slips. I don't know. I'm torn between slipping's one of these things that can happen, but it just so happens it was Tavernier at that inopportune moment. So, yeah, just a calamity all round.
Yep. So we thought that Hibs were going to equalise, but the man we've been speaking about already, Jack Butland, to the rescue, because in the 86th minute, Jamie McGrath steps up, fires the ball right, and a fantastic save by Jack Butland to keep the ball out of the back of the net. The ball is cleared. Still 1-0 to Rangers, and Jamie McGrath, I think that's maybe the second time that he's stepped up to take a penalty against us and he's missed, so hopefully that'll happen again for him if he's playing against us in the future. But excellent save by Butland, and I think that sort of galvanised the team as well, Derek, because it was showing you that it wasn't just the strikers that were getting the glory, it was Butland as well. The game finished, we won 1-0, a massive win. It wasn't pretty, but a clean sheet, thanks to Jack Butland for that. We didn't create much, but it was back-to-back wins for us, and special mention to Danilo's dad behind the goals, who, really was the entertainment in the second half, wasn't he? He's dancing and celebrating and everything. Absolutely fantastic to see. But again, Derek, delighted with that victory, because regardless how well that we are playing in the league, going to Easter Road is always difficult, and we would always take a scrappy 1-0 victory there, and that's what it was.
Yeah, delighted with that. Clean sheet, the victory, the Hibs record, as you mentioned as well. Got to be happy with that. So, tails up, and it led us into the next game, Sunday the 2nd of November. It was a 3-1 loss after extra time against Celtic at Hampden in the League Cup semi-final. Dave, you've got this one as well.
I will try and summarise this as quickly as I possibly can, Derek, because I realise that everyone knows what happens. Basically, in the first 20 minutes, it was all Celtic. Rangers didn't show up at all. We were all over the place, giving the ball away constantly. Celtic had a few chances, and then on the 19th minute, Celtic scored, or at least we thought we did. Quick free kick by Celtic. How many times do we get caught out with a quick free kick with Celtic, Derek? How many fucking times do we play against them? They get a free kick and they play it as fast as possible, and our defence is all over the place constantly. The ball is played in, it's cleared by Jigger, it hits Raskin, and it loops over Butland into the back of the net. We thought that Celtic had taken the lead there. VAR check, quite lengthy. The Celtic player was just offside and the goal was disallowed. But it shouldn't even have got to that, Derek, because we're not learning our lessons, are we? But thankfully, still 0-0.
Yeah, fortunate, absolutely. It was offside despite Celtic fans' protestations, but no, it was definitely offside.
Yeah. I said I wouldn't talk about chances, but because we spoke about Chermiti, Derek, an absolute howler right in front of goal in the 22nd minute. He fired it wide, really should have put it in the back of the net. A shocking miss for any striker at any level. I'll leave it at that. But the 25th minute, Celtic did score. Corner in for the right. Their young striker, Kenny, probably the only striker they've got fit just now. He heads it past Butland into the back of the net. It had been coming, I said that, apart from that chance that Chermiti had. 1-0 to Celtic, but poor defending again from the corner, Derek. Can't say any more than that. Going into the game, Celtic with a few chances. Rangers maybe starting to come back into it slightly. Raskin, a great through ball to Danilo. We had a chance there, saved away. But then on the 38th minute, I still don't know, Derek. I still don't know. You think it was a straight red. I'm still not sure about this. Asgard, the ball is played up to him. He tries a bit of skill. He flicks it over the head of one Celtic player. He goes to control the ball as it comes down. He catches Ralston in the waist. The ref straight away over with a red card. I realise that, non-intentional doesn't matter and stuff like that, Derek, but I still think it was a harsh red card. Not that Asgard was doing anything in the game for us at all. I think that was maybe his second touch in the whole of the first half. But he gets sent off. If things weren't hard enough, they were going to be even harder. But I still do think it was slightly harsh, Derek. But I know that you disagree with me and think it was a straight red.
No, I don't think I've ever said that, to be honest, because I did put on Twitter.
Oh, did you not? So
I
apologise. I thought that we had a conversation via messages that you said that you thought it was a definite red card. So sorry, I'll take that one back.
I know, I put out on Twitter, said I didn't think that was a red. This is the problem. In this day and age, I can understand why they're giving that as a red, because they're seeing it as a follow through. But my point is, it's the natural place where the foot goes. And he had his eye on the ball all the time. He actually got the ball first. And you could almost argue that the Celtic player ran into it. And as he was bringing his foot down after getting the ball, and granted, his foot was at kind of slightly higher than waist height, he caught him on the thigh. So for me, it's never a red card. But if the rules are saying that these are follow-throughs, then I disagree. But you've got to go with that one. There's a more contentious one that we'll get into in a few minutes, though, which we won't speak about in great depth because there's a section I've got for VAR decisions afterwards.
Well, the situation or the incident that you're talking about happened 2 minutes into stoppage time in the first half. The ball was played through the Rangers' defence. The ball is allowed to fall for Butland. The Celtic players are running. Butland's down on the ground, gathers the ball, and Austin Trusty, knowing that the ball was in his hand, stops, but then decides to follow through and kicks Butland square in the face, right in front of the referee. It's a straight red card in any game of football ever. I know we're going to get into it. The referee comes over, brandishes a yellow. It's a complete disgrace. VAR was supposed to have reviewed it. If they'd have done their job properly, the referee would have been called over the screen. He wasn't, and the yellow card was allowed to stand. We'll get into it, Derek, but just a complete and utter disgrace. And I thought I had seen every absolutely shocking decision in Rangers and Celtic games, especially over the last sort of 5 years. But that one definitely takes the biscuit. But we will get into that. But Celtic should have been down to 10 men, 100%. But that's how it was going in at half-time. 1-0 to Celtic. We really hadn't been in the races, but we had created 3 huge opportunities, which we really should have taken. But we didn't, especially Chermiti, who was absolutely shocking. But into the second half, Derek, with 10 men, we actually started to outplay Celtic, and you've seen it time and time again in games, but I don't know if it galvanised us or not, but we were really going for it. We were putting them under pressure. We were winning the ball. We were getting further forward. And then on the 79th minute, Rangers won a penalty. The ball was played into the box. Gassama shoots. Ralston falls on top of the ball, clearly a handball right in front of the referee again. As usual, all the Celtic fans and pundits out there were saying it was unintentional, he was falling, it was natural. Was it fuck? He fell right on top of the ball. It was clear they struck his arm right in front of the referee and the penalty was given. Did you feel that was the same, or did you think that was a contentious one?
I felt at the time it was maybe a bit harsh, but then looking back and it clearly hit his hand. And do you know what the funny thing is? Celtic fans were saying, oh no, it's never a penalty, and of course they would say that. However, see if Ralston had actually stuck his hand out to try and balance himself on the ground and it still hit his hand, it wouldn't have been classed as a penalty because that would have been his supporting arm. So yeah, he just kind of dived down as if he was trying to save the ball, but he did keep his arms kind of tucked in to extent, but his trailing kind of elbow still was sticking out. It was a clear penalty.
Yep, and on the 81st minute, Captain James Tavernier steps up, fires it past Schmeichel, and Derek at that stage, more than we deserve, because although we did nothing in the first half, Mikey Moore came on for Rangers in the second half, and I thought he really was bossing the game, the first time that we've really seen it, and Rangers really did deserve to be back in at 1-1, and that's what it was. But Jack Butland was called into action just a couple of minutes later. Incredible save. I think it was Maeda. He was played through 1-1. Brilliant save by him. It goes into the 90th minute and it's full time, so on to extra time. But Derek, we knew it was going to be tough. 10 men going into extra time was going to be an uphill battle for anyone. Celtic got their goal on the 93rd minute. Callum McGregor, he shoots for the edge of the box. When I first saw it, I actually thought that Butland could have done better because it looked as if it came straight through him. But when you see it from the back of the goal, I think that Butland thought that Suter was going to get ahead to it, but it just sort of skimmed past Suter. He kind of moved instead of getting behind it. I know it was a raspberry, a shot, but I'm not really going to blame Butland for that one because I think he thought that Suter was going to get a touch. It ends up in the back of the net. We knew that was the end of the game because we certainly weren't going to come back again from it in that time. It gets into the second period, extra time. Celtic scored again in the 108th minute, a low shot at the edge of the box into the 6-yard box, and then their substitute slides in, puts it into the back of the net. But the game was gone. Couldn't fault Rangers at full time, Derek, especially when they went down to 10 men because they really did play well. Really, really bad chances missed, like I said, that we cannot afford to miss in these big games. But we'll get into that decision with Austin Trusty and Jack Butland because it was absolutely atrocious.
I mean, I came away from that game being disappointed, obviously, but not too downhearted because I felt, apart from the first 20 minutes, we gave a good account of ourselves. We know the issues we've got just now. We feel, quite clearly aggrieved because of that decision, which we'll get into. I was just probably more annoyed because we never covered this point. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers had left it by this point. Celtic were in turmoil, and that wee absolute twat of Martin O'Neill is in charge at Celtic, and I just hate that fact that he's got one over us again. But we know where we are just now, and I think going into the game we all kind of didn't have too much hope with it anyway, but it was a good performance nonetheless, I would have thought.
Certainly in the second half, Derek, it was, yeah.
Leads us into the next game though. It's Thursday the 6th of November. It was a 2-0 loss at home against Roma in the Europa League Game 4. I've taken notes, but I've never done a post-match for this because I just wasn't feeling well at all. One of the things I've got to cover first though, the tifo by the Union Bears was absolutely incredible. It was obviously playing Roma, and we had the whole gladiator thing. We had the pulley tifo in place as well, with the gladiator coming up and the whole Colosseum type thing with all the crowd and all that. And they even got Rangers to put the gladiator theme tune on as well as it was happening. It was absolutely amazing. Probably the best I've ever done. Just a shame the performance never matched the actual effort that went in there. Obviously, we had throughout the game as well banners that were directed at Thelwell and Stewart, which is fair enough. Nothing too contentious there, and I think there'll be that forevermore until we start to turn a page significantly or they're out the club. However, the one thing I do want to note is the fact that the Union Bears had a banner about the UK government digital ID thing. I mean, what the fuck was that all about? Nothing to do with the game, firstly, nothing to do with Rangers, and nothing to do with football. It's also political, so I am amazed that nothing's came of it yet, but the last charge, we did wait a good few weeks before the last charge came. If we don't have a partial stadium closure for this, Dave, I will be so surprised. It is just the height of stupidity once again. See, if you want to make a political point in a European game like this, if it's to do with football, that's one thing. But when you're doing it when there's absolutely nothing to do with football, it's just absolutely idiotic, isn't it?
Going by the good work that they had done with the original Tifo, which was incredible, to then putting a dampener on it with something as stupid as that is unreal. Nothing to do with Rangers, nothing to do with football, and no place in a game of football either. It's just absolute stupidity for me. And as you say, the club will likely get fined, or, there will be a ban, as they said that there would be if there was anything else in the future. So just absolute idiots. Stupidity at the highest level.
It's not that, it's if there's a partial stadium closure with that full stand, which they were kind of intimating it was going to be, if it's going to be the full stand, then that's your fellow fans you've just let down there. So I really, really don't get that. Anyway, the game itself, we lost 2-0, as I said. First goal in the 13th minute. It was a corner in from the right into the middle, flicked on with a head to the back post and a header into the net. Just so simple, seen it all before. No marking. Men on post would have prevented that. I've said before as well, if you're not going to properly mark, there's no point having the spare men, so get your men on the post, simple as. And then the second goal was in the 36th minute, across him from the right, their man cuts in, passes and a simple shot into the net, 3 defenders standing watching it, no marking, no tackling, just shite about here. As I said, it was another insipid performance. Roma didn't get out of second gear and have could have easily upped their levels if they needed to. It's a really sad indictment of how far we've fallen in the Europa League, because the teams we've played before Roma have been poor. We've actually made them look good. Roma are a good team, but previously we would have been easily standing toe-to-toe with them and giving them a game and making them get into third and fourth gear. So it's been a disappointing performance. We're sitting plumb last, I think, as well. I think we can forget about even reaching the playoffs. Saying that, the actual threshold doesn't appear to be very big, because I think some of the teams still kind of sitting about that playoff place are only on 3 points. So we've got another 4 games. But saying that, I think we've got the 2 hardest games towards the end. So yeah, we'll see what happens there, but I'm not holding too much hope. We should maybe just forget about Europe and just focus on the league, because that's not insurmountable.
Yep.
So we go into the last game I've got here is Sunday the 9th of November. It was a 3-0 win away against Dundee in the Premiership. Dave, this is on you, but it was probably the most well-rounded performance of the season so far.
Yes, it was. And Derek, again, starting off like what we did against Hibs, starting off scoring early, that's what we've been looking for. The goal came in the 9th minute. It was a corner of Batav on the right-hand side. And Raskin, as we've seen quite a few times, smallest guy on the park, but getting a fantastic header in the box, into the top corner of the net, past the goalkeeper to make it 1-0, like I said, on the 9th minute. And then we kept it going, we kept pressing, and for the first time I thought, hallelujah, because only 5 minutes later, we got our second goal, and it was great play by Mikey Moore, who I said in the game against Celtic, I thought came on and totally changed us the way he was playing. He was excellent. Great play by him. Moved into the middle of the park, a ball towards Diomande to Danilo. He lays the ball off for Mikey Moore, who had kept up his run to the edge of the box and fires a fantastic low shot past the Dundee keeper to make it 2-0. And at that stage, Derek, I thought, keep this going, and try and get a third, because we really were on top. But a fantastic goal by Mikey Moore, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And, you said about Magoma, certainly Moore, I think he's changed position. He's sat more central as well, and he's been playing a lot better. So, we were all criticising him before. Granted, he was a youngster, but clearly he wasn't getting utilised properly, and him and Magoma have been good since Rohl came in.
Definitely. And then another contentious decision by the referee and the VAR team. 36 minute. Short corner out to James Tavernier in the edge of the box. He hits a low shot. The ball ricochets to John Souttar. John Souttar, he shoots. Then it deflects to Danilo. Now, Danilo, he shoots. The ball saved by the keeper. It falls to Moore. He fires it into the back of the net. There was a lengthy VAR check. I thought the goal when scored, it was a perfectly good goal. But as Danilo shoots, Diomande is in front of the goalkeeper. Diomande dummies the ball. It went to VAR. They couldn't say whether it was a goal or not. They handed it back to the referee, and the referee, he's got a subjective view, and he calls offside after looking at it. Now, a lot of people saying, yes, Diomande was interfering with play, was in front of the goalkeeper. But just before the shot, you could see that the goalkeeper was looking at where the ball was. He could see that Diomande was there. He had moved. He could see quite clearly that there was going to be a shot in. Again, maybe I'm looking through blue-tinted specs, Derek, but I think the goal should have stood. It should have been 3-0, but it didn't. And it showed me again that VAR really isn't fit for purpose, because they shat themselves and handed it back to the referee to make the decision also. What did you make of that one?
Diomande was in an offside position. I don't think anybody can dispute that. Obviously the issue is whether he was interfering with play of the keeper. So he was seen to step to the side of the keeper, who ended up saving the initial shot. So unless it was pure luck and the keeper was just diving for the sake of it, the keeper seen the shot to save it. So how was Diomande interfering with play? The problem with this with me is Moore was offside as well, but he was offside. So in that respect, I think it was a correct decision to rule the goal as offside, but not for the reasons the referee gave. It's a really stupid one. It really is. I think Moore was offside, and that's the reason why the goal should have been ruled offside, but they ruled it offside for Diomande interfering with play while he was offside, which is absolute bollocks.
Yep, really, really strange one there. But again, it didn't stand. It was 2-0 to Rangers. Really good first half from Rangers, apart from three players that were taking off at half-time. Chermiti and Asgard, who I thought contributed nothing to this game whatsoever. He took Brann off as well, which I thought was quite strange. I didn't think that he was playing particularly badly, but very strange to see Danny Rohl actually out at half-time and giving instructions and tactics to the subs that were coming on, which was quite strange. I've never seen that before, but again, a really poor performance by Chermiti and Asgard. So into the second half, again, Dundee had came back into it very, very slightly, because, you know, we had been all over them in the first half. They came back in without really doing anything, but Rangers didn't really do much in the second half either. There wasn't a lot of attacking play, and just as we thought it was going to finish 2-0, we did manage to get our third goal and put the icing on the cake, and it was Gassama, who a few minutes before was about to be substituted, but because Cornelius had picked up an injury, he remained on the park and Jigga came on, and it was Gassama who actually scored the third goal, and he picks the ball up, turns and runs at the Dundee defence, cuts in onto his favoured right foot and curls an absolutely tremendous goal into the top corner past the goalkeeper. Absolutely fantastic strike there by Gassama. And like I said, it was the icing on the cake, an excellent 3-0 victory in the end.
Yes, we'd seen him do that at the start of the season as well, and then he's kind of not been great for the kind of mid part so far, and then he's started to pick up again, but you know, it's just your typical winger that way. But yeah, delighted with the 3-0. As I said, probably the most well-rounded performance. Yes, we still really never got a full 90 minutes, but the game was effectively over at 2-0 because Dundee were never going to kind of come out and push us that way. So yeah, absolutely delighted with that.
And 3 victories in the league in a row, which is the most important thing, and something that a few months or a few weeks before we honestly couldn't see happening with this squad of players that we had. So showing us that maybe the Danny Rohl effect is starting to pay off and the players are buying into his tactics and his vision. So delighted with that, and another clean sheet. So, you know, we can't ask for much more than that, can we?
Yeah, and this is the thing. We are starting to see progress. The results are one thing, but you actually look at the performances, it's, again, as I said, still not seen a full 90-minute performance, I would have said, but you can see little snippets in each game that where we've improved slightly in each part. And as I said, it's baby steps, we'll get there. But if this is the continued progress, that's what we wanted to see. That's what we wanted to see with Russell Martin. If we could have seen progress, he would have lasted longer. But there was no progress. There was absolute regression. Now, granted, we know we're starting from a very, very low point just now, but it's baby steps. And we've seen improvements over these 3 league games. You can't really judge rule on the European performances because I think this season we're so out of depth with that one, we can forget that. So, yeah.
Yep.
Happy so far. Right, so we'll move on to the controversial points now about VAR. Now, you have to remember that we live in a world of it's more out than in. But now we've got a new one. It was more accidental than not. I'm going back to the game in September against Hearts. We lost 2-0. And the opening goal for Lawrence Shankland, where he clearly handballed it.
Yep.
It should have been pulled back by VAR and a foul given against him. He even thought he handballed it. However, in the VAR audio which was released, they deemed it an accidental handball and not deliberate, so basically it was fine. Never, ever in football has that been the case. That was not the only contentious decision in that game. Asgard scored a perfectly good goal, which was ruled out after a foul on the keeper, which the VAR panel said that should have been ruled in as well. So, once again, we're looking at VAR not doing their job properly, which, there's a 2-0 game which cost us. Hearts are flying just now. That game could have had a massive impact. Aberdeen, last season, they were flying high, they lost against us, and then their arses just collapsed from there. That's what could happen to Hearts, just one bad result goes against them. So, this is what we're talking about here. However, the bigger issue with VAR was in the Celtic game, which we briefly covered in terms of the Austin Trusty moment. Now, the VAR panel did rule that the Asgard sending off was correct. They also said that it was a correct decision for the penalty. And they also said, now this is the VAR panel, I think it's the KMI panel, they said that Trusty should have been sent off for kicking Butland's head. However, our Willie Collum, in his Vanity Project TV show on Sky, said that the yellow card was correct. He actually waffled nonsense trying to justify it being a yellow, and he refused to answer the question about it endangering an opponent. He said that it was a subjective call and the ref deemed it was not enough force. Go and tell us, now I've said this to every Celtic fan, go and tell us what is an acceptable force to kick someone in the head. Because that's what you're saying. You used to see it all the time when it came to headbutts. Zero force in the headbutt, but the motion was enough to get a player sent off. You can agree or disagree with the sending off, but that's what would happen. A kick to the head is 10 times worse. All it takes is the kick to go at the wrong angle and there's a serious injury. Now, Butland, we've covered it. Butland had the ball firmly in his hands by his chest. Trusty actually had to deviate his path and twist his body to kick him in the head. He wasn't going for the ball whatsoever, so it was a deliberate kick to the head. Now, isn't it funny that every pundit and ex-referee inside and outside of Scotland thinks it's a red card, apart from current refs and Celtic fans? So in other words, two cheeks of the same arse right here. And who were you going to say, Dave, that includes it, say that was a red card?
Well, you're talking about Celtic fans, Derek, but when Neil Lennon tells you that Celtic were lucky and got away with that one, that's all that needs to be said there, because even he stated that it should have been a red card. It was absolutely deplorable. You even have to look at the reaction of Trusty after it happened. He knew instantly that he was going to get red carded, pleading his innocence straight away, but he knew straight away the reactions there, it was going to be a red card. In all the years, Derek, that I've been watching games, you can say before VAR came in, oh, well, the referee's missed it, he's not seen it, or the linesman's not seen it. But when VAR is there and we've got all these camera angles, there is absolutely no excuses whatsoever. Rangers were cheated out of that. Celtic should have been down to 10 men. And everybody keeps saying, everyone that's defended that, oh, well, they were still getting beat at that stage, and who's to know what happened? We completely outplayed Celtic in the second half with 10 men. And the player that got man of the match for them, who was it? Austin Trusty. So if he'd have been off the field, Derek, as he should have been, what would Rangers have done to them with 10 men in the second half? I honestly think we would have went on and won the game. I really do. I know it's hindsight, but that decision cost us majorly, and it was absolutely atrocious from the referee and the VAR team. And as you say, Willie Collum to come out and defend it is just, it's absolutely laughable. It really is.
I mean, they're kind of right in saying that, well, you don't know what would have happened. We really don't, because we would have had another full half to go. But the point is, had we lasted that full half and it went into extra time, our arses wouldn't have potentially collapsed, because the effort the players had to put in to cover that extra man. And that is the point. It's another game-changing decision that has went against us when it shouldn't have. Rangers had a meeting with the SFA before Collum's TV stunt and then demanded one after as well. I've no idea if that's taken place or not. The case to say that these are just honest mistakes gets weaker and weaker every time. And this is it. Even if Willie Collum had turned round and said, yeah, that should have been a red card, then what? It's another mistake that's potentially cost us a cup. Collum would say, oh, that was a mistake, we will coach the referees to do better, and then they go and make the same mistakes time and time again. Refs are absolutely done in this country, and the SFA are burying their head in the sand over the issue. I do not know what it will take to get them to understand we are not getting referees in major tournaments in Europe or international championships. Does that not ring a bell? Or are they quite happy with us being a backwater? It doesn't matter what it is in this country when it comes to football. We are the backwater of everything, and it's only getting worse. Can they not see that from Rangers and Celtic's European performances this year? I really don't understand what they're thinking. But it's another thing. Rangers really need to go to town constantly over this. It's every decision needs to get played over. And everybody keeps saying, oh, we're Statement FC. It's a load of bollocks, by the way, because Celtic have released about 1 million statements over the last wee while. So, and this is the thing. Celtic fans, after the game, and it taken them a couple of days, but they ended up trying to bring up every single incident that happened in that game to say, oh, well, this player should have been sent off, we should have had a penalty there. And they were just at it every single time to justify it.
Derek, it doesn't matter how many instances that they bring up to say that things have went against them. We can show them blatant things that have happened against us that, completely out-trump anything that they're going to throw at us, especially in big games against them. That's the thing. And the player that should have been sent off, as I'm repeating myself again, got man of the match. He got fucking man of the match, and he should have been sent off. It says it all for me. It's a complete and utter shambles. We used to listen to them for years and years. Before every big game, there would always be a comment in the press conference before the game. I hope this game isn't going to end with a bad call by the referee. They used to say it before every single big game against us, putting the pressure on the referee. Well, it needs to turn, and it needs to be us making these comments before every single game, Derek. It needs to be us putting the pressure on before the games even start to bring up all of these so-called mistakes that have went against us 100%, because they used to do it for years, and everything's came to fruition for them. It's getting worse and worse every single time we play them.
It's no that though. They've got their useful idiots and ex-players in the media before that. Our ex-players don't do that. And that's the problem. That's one of the biggest problems. But anyway, that'll be another issue for the rest of the season, no doubt. The games we've got to come, the rest of the games in November, Saturday the 22nd of November at home against Livingston in the Premiership. That's a 3:00 kickoff. Thursday the 27th of November at home against Braga in the Europa League Game 5. That's a 8:00 kickoff. And to round out November, Sunday the 30th of November at home against Falkirk in the Premiership. That's a 2:00 kickoff. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah, definitely. These games on paper, going with what we have, we should be looking at maximum points for these next few games coming up. I know the way that things are going, you can't count your chickens until they've hatched, but certainly on paper, these are all winnable matches.
Yes. So we'll now go into the news. So several news stories we've got to cover here just because it's been so long. First one we've got to start with, a sad piece of news. Former long-term doctor of the club, Dr. Donald Cruikshank, sadly passed away. He spent over 3 decades with us, joined us in the late 60s, one of the first responders at the Ibrox disaster as well, and was with us at Barcelona 72 as well. So sad to hear that one there.
It certainly is, yeah.
Next thing, Dave mentioned it earlier, the 4th kit got released. It was actually delayed from earlier in the year for obvious reasons, because, well, that pish. A store put it out a day earlier than it should have been, and a day or two later there was a pretty low-key media release as well. Fans were moaning about it being the 4th kit and we shouldn't be releasing that when we're being so shit. It's the done thing now with 3rd and 4th kits, unfortunately. They were sensible delaying it in the first place. It will be contracted, so they had to get it out at some point, so you can't really blame the club for that. And the best of it is, it's absolutely fucking stunning. The best orange kit we've done in years, I think, Dave.
I'm not a great fan of it, Derek. I'll be honest with you, but I've not been a great fan of the Umbro kits so far, not just because of that one, but, you know, I realise a lot of people will buy it. It's a marketing thing. They know that they'll get a lot of these tops sold, and the more revenue they make, the better. So it has been received very well by the support, but no my taste, Derek, put it that way.
Oh well. Patrick Stewart has been appointed to the Legal and Regulatory Working Group of the European Football Clubs. So 2 things to this. It could indicate that he isn't going anywhere. And the second thing is, this isn't an insignificant appointment. Celtic have been good at getting their top figures appointed to influential positions over the years, like we were kind of just talking about there. So that's the reason why they have so much sway. So it's really about time that we get our top players at the top tables too. So let's see what Patrick Stewart can do. He's had a couple of big fuck-ups. He's on his last legs with, certainly me. He's already past the last legs with most fans. Let's just see what influence he can give with this one here. Speaking of divisive figures, Kevin Thelwell sat down with the RTV cameras. People will have understandably made their mind up about him before he spoke. However, if you take who is actually speaking out the equation and listen to what he said, he made some very good points around the overall structure of the team and the club and what the plans are. Now, of course, they are just words. We've been seduced by words by others before, so the proof will be in the pudding. Like Stewart, he's on his last legs as well. We've already had people like Graham Souness come out in the media as well to say that it would be a bad idea to give him any more money in January to spend on players. So let's just wait and see. There's been clearly issues with the management there. Let's give it another 6 months to see if Danny Rohl can get a tune out of these players. If he can, then Thelwell will be seen a wee bit more favourably. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
However, Kevin Thelwell has been involved in recruiting a person, and he's going to be a new member of Danny Rohl's coaching staff, and that's Scott Fry. He's came from Lincoln City, and he's going to be the new set-piece coach. Now, people have been turning their nose up at him as well because he's only came from Lincoln City. However, you look at the stats from Lincoln City from last season, 64 goals they scored, and 30 were from set-pieces. It's something that we've been lacking for years, both in an attacking sense and a defensive sense. Let's just see what can happen there, because we've seen how many times we've conceded goals from set pieces. That's the first thing that needs to get sorted. And how many free kicks do we score, or how many corners do we score these days? Not a great deal. So there's the 2 senses we've got to kind of sort. We used to have some great players who could take great free kicks and score every other time. But now we've not got that really. So let's just see. There is no further update, however, on the former player coach he's looking to bring in as well. Now, apparently he was speaking favourably about Stephen Smith, so maybe he might come in. There's been no notification about that so far.
No, there hasn't. The whole set-piece thing, Derek, is something that a lot of the really top clubs are going for. Look at the difference that it's made to Arsenal. The fact that how well their defence is played, the amount of goals that they score for set pieces is quite incredible. It's worked for them. It gets used a lot in Germany also, which is maybe why Danny Rohl is doing this. And we just have to hope that there has been someone out there watching certain teams and watching who does have these set-piece coaches and bringing in someone who has made a massive difference to a club. And going by the stats that you've just said there, which I didn't know about, that's very impressive regardless what league you're in. Let's give it a chance I am all in the moment on Danny Rohl at the helm. I really do think that the players are buying into his vision, and if this is a part of it going forward, then let's just see what it brings. It can only be positive, Derek, considering how poorly that we've been defending since the start of the season. And well, we're saying the start of the season, we've been talking about it for years now, how poor we've been defending. So if this is going to make us defend much better, then I'm all for it.
Yes. Another person that's going to be coming in is our new Academy Director, John Hunter Barrett. He's worked with Thelwell at Wolves. There's a kind of red flag straight away. He will start in January. As I've said before, though, the Academy Director is a long-term position that you won't see the fruits of that for a few years. So let's hope that he's up to the task and he stays longer than the last director, which I think was only a few months. So let's wait and see. Next thing here, I think the Fans Advisory Board have either met or been in a few meetings since we last done a podcast. However, one thing to come out of it is stadium expansion is seriously being looked at by the owners. However, it's not something that will get done imminently. Apparently, feasibility studies are being carried out with the three options being looked at. I mean, ultimately, we instantly start the season around £4 or £5 million down on Celtic, just because they've got a bigger stadium that they can sell season tickets to. So it's definitely something that needs to be looked at soon. However, on-field issues need to be sorted first, because if we don't have a successful team, then we won't fill the seats. So it basically rules any stadium expansion useless. So we need to get that sorted first. It will be a longer term issue. It will cause a lot of disruption. It might mean playing our home games at a different stadium for a while, but we'll see what happens in due course. Another thing from the Fans Advisory Board meetings is that the owners are still looking to have AGMs, despite there no longer being a legal requirement to do so because of the structure of the club. I mean, I can't wait for Kavanagh to be asked about the temperature of pies, not getting a ticket for the game, and being offered a wee holiday home and out in Spain by that guy again. So... Yes, I'm guessing it's not going to be in December because it probably would have been announced by now. So I think somebody kind of rumoured it might be in about the June time when they've taken over. So we'll wait and see when that comes around. One thing as well that was covered in the news a good while ago, some absolute dickhead tried to burn the Walter Smith statue in October. They set fire to the scarf around it. I mean, it's bronze, so it's not going to burn. So, I mean, here's the thing. What kind of lowlife do you need to be to try and do that? It was always going to be a matter of time before someone tried to do that. And it's a sad indictment on society that you just knew that was going to be the case. It's never happened at Celtic because we've not got the lowlife fans that would try and burn their statues. But you knew the Walter Smith statue would have got vandalised at some point. But fortunately, there was no damage and it was quickly given a quick polish and all is well. And somebody's put a scarf back up there as well.
Total low-life scum, Derek, is all they are. It's all there.
Something I wanted to get off my chest and highlight here, and this is a bit of a rant here, is that Hamza Igman has been doing well for his new club and country. Now, our fans, when we were going through the doldrums, were raging about that, and they were saying we shouldn't have sold him, etc, etc. Now, from my viewpoint, when a player leaves, it's thanks and good luck, unless it's the likes of Gaza or Laudrup, of course. That's the exception to the rule. Igman was with us for a season. He played well for less than 6 months. Granted, he was played out of position some of the time as well, which didn't help. He then took the huff, he refused to play, then left. The bottom line is, we got 10 times the amount we paid for him. He wasn't abused for being played out of position like some have claimed. That's just absolute nonsense. And ultimately, he was a nobody plucked from obscurity, and we started to make him someone. And yes, he's probably going to have a very good career now. That's the model we need to be trying to do. So let's not get over emotional about a player. That's the model we need to follow. Let's not pine about a player who no longer wanted to be here. It's up to you if you want to believe about the release fee or not. Granted, it did seem a wee bit suspicious that we never heard about it up until he was about to leave. Ultimately, because he's doing well at his new club and his country, you have absolutely no idea how he would have developed if he'd stayed with us. The chances are he would have been playing shite, because it seems we've turned seemingly good players into shite over the past year, so he probably wouldn't have developed very much. So it's just something that it rips my knitting when a player leaves and he no longer wants to be here. He's playing well and people pine over players. It's just a bugbear of mine, Dave. I don't know about you.
I think everybody thought we were going to be getting an absolute king's ransom for the player because of a lot of false reporting out there, as to the amount of money we were going to get. We were getting quoted as we were getting 20 million for him and stuff like that. At the end of the day, Derek, he flashed some pieces of brilliance for us, but he was never consistent. He was never a player that was getting played every single week for us and was going to go out. We knew that he had incredible talent, but he didn't show it often enough for us to say, this guy's absolutely sensational. And when the links came in that he was going to be going to France, we were just hoping that we were going to get a lot of money for him. Now, on paper, it's been an excellent piece of business, but I think just because of the amount of absolute dross that has came into our club this season by Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell, we knew that Hamza Igman was by far a better option than what we have, especially up front at the moment. And I think that's what's got a lot of fans annoyed, the fact that we sold him for, was it about 11 million or something like that? Is that what we're being told? And I think now that he's gone out to France and he's playing very, very well, we're feeling that we've maybe been shortchanged by it. But as you say, he didn't want to be here. He kind of down tools on us, said straight away we should be saying, oh, well, fuck you, on you go, we don't want anything to do with you. And he did down tools on us, Derek. He refused to come on, feigned injury, all of that, because he was wanting to leave. So he's gone. We got £11 million for him. I just wish that we had more competent people to use that 11 million to reinvest into the club, but I've not seen that yet.
Now, the last story I want to cover is actually 3 stories, and there's a common theme running through, which I'll get into at the end. So this season, we've had people complain up to the police about the Soonest banner, only for the police to bat it away as nonsense. 3 other stories caught my eye. The first was Tory politician Murdo Fraser put what was clearly a joking tweet out after Russell Martin's sacking, and he said, "No more vegans, Buddhists or Green Party members, please, Rangers." Of course, someone took offence to that and because they mentioned Buddhists and they claimed it was racist, despite Buddhist being spelt wrong, by the way. They complained to the police about it, who again batted away as nonsense. The second, there was multiple reports online after the Celtic game at Hampden that one of our fans fell ill. Several of our fans tried to get the police and stewards' attention and they just ignored fans' pleas, and they were slow to react, mainly because they were worried about their own safety. Then a story, which is still live on the website by the way, appeared in a red top stating that our fans had attacked the paramedic when they went to eventually go and get the fan. Again, absolutely refuted by numerous reports by fans in that area at the time. Not only that, the club or police have said nothing about it. So that's clearly bollocks, especially considering Celtic have had to come out against their own fans and slamming them for doing the exact same thing about attacking stewards and paramedics, which funnily enough, Celtic fans were saying that was nonsense, but a fan has actually been arrested today about that. So there's that second story there, of nonsense about Rangers. The third story is a bizarre one where a campaigner, whatever she campaigns about, I have no idea, but Dr. Anne Glenn has urged the Scottish Government to block a sports facility that Graham Souness has backed, as it claims that the facility has a Rangers flavour and would inflame sectarian tensions, and has also claimed that the academy would offend Catholics and people of Irish heritage in a nearby village.
She must have examples of why she is thinking that. Or is it purely because it's been backed by Graham Souness, or, he's spoken positively about it?
Well, this is what gets into my point. Now, I know the song is Nobody Likes Us, We Don't Care, but there's 3 stories, or 4 if you include the Souness Tifo thing, that go beyond a line of any sort of normality. People in society are actually trying to actively harm anything linked with Rangers due to their own bitterness and bigotry, because that's exactly what it is. And here's the thing, it's always big bad Rangers that are the ones to blame. That's despite those from the other side of the city continuing to spew their anti-Semitic, woke, terrorist-loving bile, and they never get pulled up about it. This again leads into what I said before about the legacy of Celtic being clever for decades about worming their way into positions of influence who can able to control the narrative. It's infested everything in society. And without getting political here, if you have a pro-unionist view, the retort is always, I knew you were always an orange hun bastard Rangers supporter. I mean, what has football got to do with that? I don't know. I mean, it's funny though that those who actually say that are always the fake Irish Celtic supporters though. So that, I'm going to park the political part there, but that's always the same narrative that runs through all these 3 or 4 stories, as well as the political narrative. Now, nobody likes us. We actually really don't care if you like us or not. But what we should be caring about as a fan base, and the club need to do better about it, is when they spread utter lies and shite about our fans and club for no other reason because they support Rangers and they can't hide their own bitterness and bigotry. That's what rips my knitting. There's 4 stories straight away that just spell that out directly.
You would think, Derek, that there was maybe a wee sort of deflection tactics there from a club who are trying to deal with certain things very, very secretively that are not spoken about, which are completely and utterly heinous, that no one is allowed to speak about purely because they do have such influence in the media. We all know what I'm referring to when I say that. I think a huge amount of these anti-Ranger stories are pure deflection tactics to get any interest into them and what their sordid dealings in the past have been, to keep the attention away from them and purely have the focus on us.
There's clearly an element of that. I just think they can't hide their own bitterness and bigotry, and especially that third story with, it's done for the community, it's done for youngsters who want to play football, yet she wants that bloody banned because an ex-Rangers player has had an influence on it and thinks it's going to stoke sectarian tensions and it's going to offend Irish heritage and Catholics. Fuck right off.
Unbelievable, yeah. That whole story, and she, that should be treated with the contempt it deserves, and I really hope it has, and I really hope she gets called out on it. I really do.
And in fairness to the tabloid that did run that story, they did call it bizarre and they just told her to shut up, basically, and the other people commenting that were basically saying the same. So I'm glad they've done that, because that was it was just utterly bizarre. But that's the world we live in Scotland these days, that people are so bitter and twisted that way. And a number of years ago, a political party opened the Pandora's box, and this is the problem. It's never going to go back. However, we'll now go into Fessel Corner.
Do you like Dick? No, I don't like the Dick, but I like Dick Advocate, you know what I mean?
Ex-wife always used to complain about my son or me peeing on the toilet seat. Knew for certain it was never me, as I always used to pee in the sink. My new Apple Watch lighting up to say, it looks like you're doing a workout, when I'm actually in the middle of a particularly challenging poo, marks a new low in my life.
I thought you were going to say something else here, Derek. I really, really thought you were going to say something else there.
There's been a similar story about that, yeah.
Oh, man.
Wife shares my bathwater after me, as I'm normally very quick. A week ago, I farted in the bath, but a logger came out. Had to empty the bath and rerun it. Mrs. asked why. I panicked and said I wanked in it. She hasn't spoke to me since, but it's better than confessing to shitting in the bath.
That's one of the worst, yeah. Oh, my word.
At least he washed it out.
Oh, you should have saved that one to the end. Oh, my word. Oh, dear.
In my youth, a constantly horny teenage lad, I watched a lot of porn. Saw that all the men were circumcised. I wondered why I wasn't, or should I be. I tried to sellotape my foreskin back for a few days to see if it would work. It didn't. It just made me very uncomfortable. Can't say I've ever done that in my teenage years, Dave. Never crossed my mind.
Oh my God.
My mum once caught me with a dumbbell weight tied with a string to my willy, in a naive, dangerous and fruitless attempt to lengthen it. I have never heard her laugh so hard and for so long, and I cringe whenever I remember it 30 years later. I hope she never told anyone.
Oh my word.
And the last one for this episode, I have a job with hardly any accountability other than attending a few Teams meetings each week, which I barely speak in. In the office each day, I load a 7-year-old spreadsheet on my big screen to look busy. On my small screen, I'm writing my latest erotic novel.
And probably getting paid an absolute fortune to do it as well.
Probably, yes. So on that note, we will end the podcast. Yes, it's been a rather long episode, but it was a very long time since we've done a podcast, so hopefully it won't be too bad the next time.
No, we'll definitely, like the boy in the bath, we will definitely keep it more regular, Derek.
Yes. So, on that note, we will say thanks for listening and goodbye.
Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.